Welcome back. This is Mr. Owings. This is what is required to do the freeze tag problem my students are currently working on. I wanted to make sure that we had all the code we needed. So this, if you follow along, will recreate my example code. And then once you have the basics, you can start to modify it. Granted, some of you may want to tweak some of the steering because I'm specifically using tank code, but let me show you what I have to do this. So the first thing we need to do, if you notice, I didn't load an example. I'm using just the vanilla code, which means I need to go to the devices tab and add the devices we're going to use. In this case, we need a controller. Forgive this, for some reason it didn't load on my computer right. So that is our controller. And we need motor 1 because we use them in the first and 10th slot. I have to reverse this, so you pay attention right here where I reverse that one because of the way we're going to put these in. We're going to add motor 10. I didn't need to reverse that one because I want these to spin opposite directions. Let me see. I need to grab a 3-wire bumper. I put mine in slot A, and another 3-wire bumper. I put mine in slot B. These are the ones we're attaching to the back of our robot. Now that we have all our devices, you'll notice we have more code options in this. I have spent the last couple of days learning this block code. Bear with me. This is new to me. I am used to traditional coding, but for those of my students who are brand new, it's important to have this. So I'm going to start by adding a couple of variables. My first one will be fill screen. Fill screen is going to take a number input, and I don't care what it is. I'm going to add that here, and I'm going to add my frozen. These are going to be my I'm going to do a lowercase f. These are going to be my functions I use to define what's going to happen. So my first thing I want to add here is uh, else if else. So this is going to cover our if then else if then otherwise. We'll do this. This is going to give me the ability to change the screen to white while it's playing and red when it's frozen. So looking at this, we need to have if we look at our operators, if number is equal to, so we're going to add this here, and we're going to say if it's 1, and we need to drag number down here. I apologize for whatever's going on with my cursor. I do not know what that is. Okay, so number 1, and then we need to say if it is equal to 2. And we can drag number down here like that. Um, and then else we'll have that. So if we go to looks, we are going to set fill color. So I'm going to say if it's 1, we're going to be not yellow, white. And if it is 2, we're going to set it to purple. That's what I've decided is going to be my end color. You can make that whatever you want. The only stipulations is that it turns from white to red. So we'll do that. So if that's red, and then we need to draw a rectangle. And I'll give you these values. 500 and 250 will fill your brain. So now, when we call this, if it's a 1 we give it, it will be 500. And if it's a 2, or it will be, if it's white and it'll fill the whole screen, white. So let's go ahead and add that code. So let's do fill screen 1 when started. It's going to set the white and put a big rectangle on our screen. And then we can set this over here. Since we're done with that, let's grab over here on the control. We need to get an uh, um, um, well, actually, let's start without a variable. Oh, let's make a variable. And we're going to call this lives. In my example, I used a different name, but we want to use lives. So this has to be over here too. So now our main function is going to be this when started. So let's set lives to 0. So we're going to fill the screen white, set our lives to 0. And then if we go to control, let's do a forever loop. This is a while true loop if you're familiar with C or Python, any C language. So that means that we will have to have a break statement. Relatively easy. So this one, we want to go to our motion and we're going to move spin motor 1 forward, spin motor 10 forward. But then we're going to set the velocity. And this is where we're going to get a little unique. And this is going to make sense how I'm making this tank controls. So if I go down to sensing, if you look at this, I know you don't see the whole controller, but on yours, you'll see this. This 3 is that stick up and down, and this 2 is that stick up and down. So what I'm going to do here is scroll down to find it is controller 1 position. I'm going to put that here. And then we're going to set that to 2. So like I said, if we follow here, we're following the up and down motion of this one. And then we're going to do the same thing right here to 3. If I recall. Yeah. Because yes, okay, good. Yes, that's going to put that on there. So now what I'm saying is move the motors forward, and since my controller started the 0 position, the left stick will move the controller forward and back, and the right stick will move the right motor forward and back. So that's all I'm doing here is telling it to use these motors. Now I'm going to need a control structure. And this is going to be my if, and this is going to check to see what happens when the bumpers hit. And now I'm going to need to define frozen. That's this one over here. Because if you remember, we started with lives, we set that to 0. That's going to be important here because we want to modify this. So the first two we're going to do, and I can tell you this from my testing, is we want to stop motor 1 and we want to stop motor 10. Because in my testing, I found that if you froze it while the motor was working, it just froze moving in that same position. So then we're going to do a fill screen. And we said that anything other than 1 or 2 is red, so or is red. So we're going to say 3. That's going to default to this red. Okay. So we fill screen 3. And then we're going to go for a wait. This is going to make our motor, so we've stopped our motors. We filled the screen to red, and we're going to make the program wait 5 seconds. That's all this does. When we're done with that, we're going to go back and we're going to do a fill screen 1, turning it white again. And then we're going to change lives by 1. So all this says is when we use a frozen, we stop the motors, we change the screen red, we wait 5 seconds, and then we fill the screen white again and we add 1 to lives. And then we're going to put this in here. Now we need to do our if statement that's going to check to see if our bumpers are hit. But then it's going to do this, and we will modify what happens when we have 3 lives lost in a second. We need to, now operator, there we go. We need an OR gate. because we have two potential options. We're looking for um, bumper A pressed. Whoops. And we'll put that back in there. Or bumper B pressed. So if either of those two bumpers we put on the back of a robot are hit, we're going to freeze. And that's going to change lives. So then the one bit of code missing, and I'm hoping you guys are following along well, is that I need to add an if statement to exit our infinite loop. So if we do that, and we need to compare, let's do greater than. So if lives is greater than 3, so we've been hit 3 times, we are going to end the program. So we will break. Where's our break? Should be right there. So this is our exit from the big loop. So we have our forever loop. This is the while true. We're just going to keep running the motor, checking to see our position, and then also checking our bumper until we hit 3 lives. So if we have more than 3 lives, we're going to break from this. And then because we've done that, why don't we set this? Because I already set the fill screen to add purple. I'm going to fill screen to 2. So now it's going to do this entire loop until we're done, and then the screen goes to 2. If you really want to add to the looks, you could go in here and draw text. Where is it? Print. No. There is the ability to write on here. Where is that? That'd be fun to play. Draw a line. Set font to. There we go. No. Yeah, there we go. And that is going to end that. Good luck. If you finish this in time, you're welcome to modify these control schemes in some ways. I know some of you are interested in trying different control schemes. Play with these, see what you can do. Worst case scenario, you can do this. If you're done, start practicing. See if you can get the lives. And then maybe try some things. Maybe you and another student will want to set your code that in your frozen, you're going to make the robot spin. So instead of stopping the motors, you're going to take the motion controls that we learned in our last and start spinning the motors for however many degrees. So you could set one forward, one backward, and then freeze the person out of their controls, and then go down to stop and give them control back in the loop. So there's a few things you could do. Good luck. Have a great day.